Namaste all, welcome. We are now going to start our program today. The theme is why be spiritual. That could be looked at as a statement or it could be looked at as a question. Pick one and go with it. But before we start, let's remember a couple of things. Yesterday was the holy day of Maha Lakshmi, known as Vara Mahalakshmi Vrata or Puja. So we did a puja on behalf of everybody yesterday, last night, and hopefully we will all get the blessings of Mahalakshmi, the 8 types of Mahalakshmi. That's why I say complete prosperity of all kinds. So that was Mahalakshmi. So today we have Mahalakshmi poster here so that we can remember that. And in honor of Mahalakshmi, we are going to also do, after our initial mantras, healing mantras, we are going to do Amma is going to sing a bhajan on Mahalakshmi, very famous bhajan in Kannada, known as Bhagyada Lakshmi Baramma. She will sing that, and that is written by Purandara Dasa. Very fantastic song, and it's popular for a good reason. So she will sing that, after which we will sing Maha Lakshmi Ashtaka. This Maha Lakshmi Ashtaka, we'll probably go through it once, but it's in your description, so you can take a look at that. There's also a bhajan in your description. With time, we'll try to sing that too. So today, in honor of Mahalakshmi, we will do the, Amma will sing one bhajan on Mahalakshmi, and then we'll do the Ashtaka. Ashtaka means 8-verse hymn to Mahalakshmi. Okay? So now sit straight, and we'll start with 3 Oms, and then just follow me. Om. नमो नमो गणेशाय विघ्नेशाय नमो नमः विनायकाय वैतुभ्यं विकृताय नमो नमः वक्रतुंड महाकाय कोटि सूर्य समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा ॐ गं गणपतये नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः ॐ गुं गुरुभ्यो नमः महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात् महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात् सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः ॐ नमो नारायणाय ॐ नमो नारायणाय ॐ नमो नारायणाय ॐ नमो नारायणाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते पाण्डुरङ्गाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते पाण्डुरङ्गाय हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम नमः शिवाय गुरवे सच्चिदानन्दमूर्तये निष्प्रपञ्चाय शान्ताय निरालम्बाय तेजसे ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम गुरु पंढरीनाथ महाराज की जय श्री कृष्ण भगवान की जय सद्गुरु महाराज की जय महालक्ष्मी माता की नारायण भगवान की जय Amma will now sing the song of Purandara Dasa on Lakshmi. Alright, so listen to that. Krishna, turn this down a little bit. Tell me when, okay?
ಹಾಸಿಗೆಯೊಳಗಿನ ಬೆಣ್ಣೆಯಂತೆ ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮನೇ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ಕನಕ ಮೇಷ್ಟೆಯ ಕರೆಯುತ್ತ ಬಾರೆ ಮನ ಕಾಮನೆಯ ಸಿದ್ಧಿಯ ತೋರೆ ದಿನಕರ ಕೋಟಿ ತೇಜದಿ ಹೊಳೆಯುವ ದಿನಕರ ಕೋಟಿ ತೇಜದಿ ಹೊಳೆಯುವ ಜನಕರಾಯ ಕುಮಾರಿ ಬಾರೆ ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮನೇ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ಅತ್ಯಂತಗಲದ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯ ಮಹೋತ್ಸವ ನಿತ್ಯ ಸುಮಂಗಲ ಸತ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ತೋರುವ ಸಾಧು ಸಜ್ಜನರ ಚಿತ್ತದಿ ಒಳೆಯುವ ಪುತ್ತಳೆ ಬೊಂಬೆ ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮನೇ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಯಿಲ್ಲದ ಭಾಗ್ಯವ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕಂಕಣ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಿರುವುತ್ತ ಬಾರೆ ಕುಂಕುಮಾಂಕಿತೆ ಪಂಕಜಗೋಚರ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣನ ಬೆಂಕದ ರಾಣಿಯ ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮನೇ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ಸಕ್ಕರೆ ತುಪ್ಪ ಕಾಲುವೆ ಅರಸಿ ಶುಕ್ರವಾರದ ಪೂಜೆಯ ವೇಳೆಗೆ ಸಕ್ಕರೆ ತುಪ್ಪ ಕಾಲುವೆ ಅರಸಿ ಶುಕ್ರವಾರದ ಪೂಜೆಯ ವೇಳೆಗೆ ಅಕ್ಕರೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಅಳಗಿರಿ ರಂಗನ ಅಕ್ಕರೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಅಳಗಿರಿ ರಂಗನ ಚೊಕ್ಕ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನ ರಾಣಿಯ ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ಜಗಜ್ಜನ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಮಾತಾ ಕಿ ಜೈ.
अर्थ कशाला शंका असते तो अर्थ सांगतो सांग किती सांग
ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮನೇ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಕಾಲಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಮದರ್ ಮಹಾಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ಟು ಅವರ್ ಹೋಮ್. ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ. ಗೆಜ್ಜೆಯ ಕಾಲ್ಗಳ ಧ್ವನಿಯನ್ನು ತೋರುತ್ತಾ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಶಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಕಲ್ ಬೆಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ದ ನಾಯ್ಸ್. ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ನಿಕ್ಕುತ್ತಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೀಪಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫೀಟ್ ಒನ್ ಬೈ ಒನ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಬೈ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್. ಸಜ್ಜನ ಸಾಧು ಪೂಜೆಯ ವೇಳೆಗೆ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕಮ್ ಸಜ್ಜನ sadhus and saints and all, they do puja to God, Mother. That time you have to come just like butter from the curds. Butter. The curd, when you churn, the butter comes from there. Like that you have to come. ಕನಕಾವೃಷ್ಟಿಯ ಕರೆಯುತ್ತ ಬಾರೆ ಮನಕಾಮನೆಯ ಸಿದ್ಧಿಯ ತೋರೆ. You should come, the Kanaka means gold coins. You have to throw everywhere in our home. ಕರೆಯುತ್ತ ಬಾರೆ ಮನಕಾಮನೆಯ ಸಿದ್ಧಿಯ ತೋರೆ. Whatever our mentally we are asking Mother, so you should give siddhi. Manakamanaya, kamana means desires. Our desires has to be fulfilled by you. Dinakara koti tejade holayuva. You have shining like, thousands of sun. Dinakara koti tejade holayuva. Janakarayana kumari bare. You are the daughter of Janaka, King Janaka. So you have to come so beautifully, keeping your feet one by one and chant, and coming there with the glowingly. ಅತ್ತಿತ್ತಗಲದ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯ ಮಹೋತ್ಸವ ನಿತ್ಯ ಸುಮಂಗಳ. In Bhaktas, devotees' home, always there is God's puja, God's, bhajans and all. ಅತ್ತಿತ್ತಗಲದ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ when you when they chant the name of God and do the puja and all, she will be staying there only. Attitagaರದ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. Always she will be in the bhaktas, devotees' home. Nitya Mahotsava, Nitya Sumangala. Always in their home, always. Sumangala means all auspicious things like a marriage or big pujas and all kind of things of Mahotsava. We call for that Utsava. Nitya Sumangala, Nitya Mahotsava, Nitya Sumangala. Auspicious things always will help, will be there. Satyava Torva, Satyaka Torva Sadhu Sajjanara, Chittadi Holiva Puttali Bombe. So you should come as a butter from the curd, and that is Fridays, mostly Friday, Mahalakshmi comes to home. That is also dusk time. And you come, Sadhu Sajjanara, Chittadi Holiva Puttali Bombe. You are like, Puttali means golden farm. You have to come to Sadhu Sajjana's place, means saint's place. So that's why we call Fridays to in whole India, Hindus, they call Mother Mahalakshmi Friday. Friday is the auspicious day for Mahalakshmi to come and to chant the name of Mahalakshmi. That is also evening time, like dusk time. You should chant the name of Mother, chanting the song or praising her. That time she will be coming to our place, your place. That's why Shanka illada bhagya kottu kankana kayanu tiruvata bare. You should give unlimited bhagya. Bhagya means bhagya.
Blessing.
Bhagya. Bhagya means luck. Kankana kayanu tiruvata bare. You have to come. Your bracelets, like you have to come with a beautiful bracelet. Bracelet, bangles. Kunkuma ankite pankajalochana. Idu kunkum, big kunkum. She is wearing big kunkum and disheveled hair. And pankajalochane. Pankaja means lotus-eyed. Venkatamana Binkadarani. She has a beautiful lotus eye, and she is the Rani, queen of Venkatamana. Venkatamana means God, Lord Vishnu. Sakkare tuppa kalave harasi. Sakkare means sugar, tuppa means ghee and sugar and everything. What you call, mast punchaka, abundant. Sakkare tuppa, sugar and ghee and everything is all rich. It has to flow. She makes that to flow in your home, because when you chant the name of God, God gives you abundant. You not only chanting, do seva to God, she will give you abundant. Sakkare tuppa kalave harisi, Shukravada puja velige. That is also Friday, evening puja time. She comes with all the, what you call, whatever we wanted to get, she gives that. When you do puja Friday to Mother Mahalakshmi, and she will give to you everything, whatever you want. Akkareyulla Alagiri Rangana Chakkaparandara Vittala Narani. She is the queen of Vittala. Vittala means God, Vishnu. So she is giver of everything. When you chant the name of Mother Mahalakshmi, Friday, if you chant Mahalakshmi's song, dusk time, people believe and Mother comes there. Wherever you call, she will be there in that home. So that is the song. And God bless all of you, Mahalakshmi's Kripa, with the Mahalakshmi's Kripa. Blessings of Mahalakshmi.
Mahalakshmi Mata ki
Jai.
Krishna, reduce this. So if you could, everyone, go down to your description to see the Mahalakshmi Ashtaka lyrics. Okay, you can follow along, or I can teach it to you. We can do it twice. So where I say it and you guys say it behind me. Krishna, what format do you think will work best? Me saying it and then they're following? Yeah. Okay, let me do it that way then. So I'll say it once. We'll break it up at the commas. Okay. I'll say it and then say you guys say it behind me. Or after me, I should say. Namastestu Mahaamaaye. Sing that. Sri-Peethe Sura-pujite. I'll do it again because some of you may be a little bit behind on opening this thing and all. So if you're ready, we'll sing it again. Okay, ready? Namastestu Mahaamaaye. Sri-Peethe Sura-pujite. Shanka, Chakra, Gada, Haste. Maha Lakshmi Namostute. Maha Lakshmi Namostute. Namaste Garudarudhe. Kolaasura Bhayankari. Again, Namaste Garudarudhe. Kolaasura Bhayankari. Sarva Paapa Hare Devi. Sarva Paapa Hare Devi. Paapa means sins and karma. So Sarva Paapa Hare Devi means one who removes, the Devi who removes all our sins and karma. Such a Mahalakshmi, Mahalakshmi Namostute. Salutations to Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi Namostute. Sarvagne Sarvavarade. Sarva Dushta Bhayankari. Again, Sarvagne Sarvavarade. Sarva Dushta Bhayankari. Sarva Dukkha Hare Devi. Sarva means all. Okay, Dukkha is sadness, sorrow, misery. Hare means to rid of. So Sarva Dukkha Hare Devi means one who removes all my sorrows and difficulties. To such a Mahalakshmi we salute, or we do salutations. Sarva Dukkha Hare Devi. Mahalakshmi Namostute. Mahalakshmi Namostute. Siddhi Buddhi Prade Devi. Siddhi Buddhi Prade Devi. Bhukti Mukti Pradayini. So Siddhi, you know, like yogic Siddhi, spiritual powers. Buddhi means a sharp intellect. So one who provides all that to us, such a Devi. Bhukti Mukti Pradayini. Bhukti means enjoyments. Mukti is liberation ultimately. In other words, both enjoyment here and freedom afterwards. So someone who gives us that. So Siddhi Buddhi Prade Devi Bhukti Mukti Pradayini Mantra Murte Sada Devi Maha Lakshmi Namostute Maha Lakshmi Namostute. Number 5. Adyantarahite Devi Adyantarahite Devi. This is, I'm not going to explain the whole thing, but just some key points. Adi and Antya, that is beginning and end. So Adyanta means Adi and Anta mixed together. Adyanta Rahite Devi, someone who is not bound by any of this, right? So she has no beginning or ending. Such a Devi, Adya Shakti Maheshwari. So primordial energy, right? Maheshwari, Yoga Je Yoga Sambhute. Yoga Je Yoga Sambhute. Maha Lakshmi Namostute. Maha Lakshmi Namostute. Stula Sukshma Maharaudre. Stula Sukshma Maharaudre. Mahashakte Mahodaye. Stula Sukshma Maharaudre. Mahashakte Mahodaye. Paapa Hare Devi. Maha Lakshmi Namostute. Maha Lakshmi Namostute. Number 7. Padmasanastite Devi Parabrahma Swarupini. Again, Padmasanastite Devi Parabrahma Swarupini. Parameshi Jaganmata. Mahalakshmi Namostute. Mahalakshmi Namostute. The last one, Shvetambaradhare Devi Nana Alankara Bhushite. Shvetambaradhare Devi. You know, in our tradition, even if you look at that poster that we have of Mahalakshmi, she is always wearing a red sari. Krishna, show that. Red sari. Can everybody see that? Can you see it, Krishna? Red sari. But what this mantra actually says is not red sari. Shvetambaradhare Devi. Shweta means white. Reminds me of Girish's daughter, Shweta. Right? I think that's her name, right? Okay. So Shvetambara means somebody who is wearing all white. Shvetambaradhare Devi Nana Lankara Bhushite Jagatstite Jaganmata. Jagatstite means someone just like Vishnu sustains the entire creation. Jagatstite Jaganmata. Mahalakshmi Namostute. Mahalakshmi Namostute. Mahalakshmicha Vidmahe. This is known as, before you sing, this is known as Maha Lakshmi Gayatri or Lakshmi Gayatri. So there are many types of Gayatris as we talked about before in the previous streams. So this is known as Lakshmi Gayatri. Mahalakshmicha Vidmahe Vishnu Patnaicha Dheemahi Tanno Lakshmi Prachodayaat. Again, Mahalakshmicha Vidmahe Vishnu Patnaicha Dheemahi Tanno Lakshmi Prachodayaat. One last time. Om Mahalakshmicha Vidmahe Vishnu Patnaicha Dheemahi Tanno Lakshmi Prachodayaat. Om Shri Maha Lakshmi Namaha. Om Shri Maha Lakshmi Namaha. Om Shri Maha Lakshmi Namaha. Mahalakshmi Mata ki Jai. Narayana Bhagavan ki Jai. So you can practice this Mahalakshmi Ashtaka every Friday if you can. The words are obviously here, but if you want it without me talking over it like we did in this particular program, there's a separate video on our channel just for this without any talking. Okay, same rag, same tune, same everything. So the entire Ashtaka, the 8 hymns. So in our tradition and in our scriptures, we have these 8 hymns known as Ashtaka. Ashtaka is known to be very powerful and gets to the point very quickly. So this set of mantras is also very powerful. You can try it every Friday for the 8 types of prosperity. I'm not going to go through what those are, okay, because the program is not about Lakshmi today. It was yesterday. The program was yesterday. Today we wanted to just do this in remembrance of that particular holiday. And so now we will turn to the subject at hand. What's the subject at hand, Krishna?
Why be spiritual?
Is that a statement?
Could be.
All right. So why be spiritual? So here I have some points I have written up. I hope I can see it. It's a lot of writing. So I was just thinking a few days back, why are we bothering people with all these spiritual satsangs, right? And what is the scripture saying? Why are we bothered with it? Why should we follow any of it? And why not just live our lives? What's the point of all this? Why not just live our lives, right? Namely, go and make money, buy things, do fun things, and go sightseeing, buy more things, do more sightseeing, and make more money, and spend more money. Why not? Sleep a little bit, buy a new bed, sleep some more. Why not just live like that, right? What is all this spirituality stuff? What are we really saying here? What's the point? So I was thinking, what is the point, right? Why am I bothering everybody with these live streams and so on? And so part of it, obviously is because we want to keep up the tradition, we want to keep up the teachings of our Guru, Sant Keshavadasji, right? But and also the Vedic culture, right? What is this all about? And so why are people supposed to listen to any of this at all? So I started thinking. So I decided, why not write down some points and share some of these things with you, right? Because when you go to any scripture of any world religion, they will assume, scriptures are assumed to be true, and we are expected to follow on faith or other things, or what people are telling us. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? However, I thought we'd get down to more fundamental things. Okay, so we'll start out that way. What do you think, Krishna? Okay? All right. So before we say why be spiritual, let's talk about, at least in my mind, some very basics of what is spirituality, right? What are we trying to say? So the spirituality thing can be really thought of as, I don't want to define it because it's a little hard, but generally speaking, you would agree with me, I think, when I say spirituality is to know and be in touch with all matters of the spirit. That spirit is known as Atma, or the self with the big S, right? But in our case, let's just stick to spirit or Atma. Okay. So when you talk about spirituality, you must talk about and be in touch with matters of the spirit, okay? Matters of Atma. And it's not the body, it's not the mind, it's not the individual ego that we have, it isn't the indriyas known as senses, and most especially, it is not about the material world made up of name and form, namely objects in the world. That's simply name and form. Let me explain what that means for a second. If you will, let me just take a quick tangent. That is, many streams ago I had mentioned that if you have a clay pot, okay, this is the classic example that's used in our Upanishads. If you have a clay pot and a clay plate, right? The difference between the plate and the pot or a cup, right? What's the difference? Let's call it a bowl and a plate. What's the difference between those two clay items? The difference is in the name that we call it and its shape. Okay? Underlying both of those is the same clay. So what they say is the material world that I just talked about is basically made up of name and form. If you take those away, the material world really has no proper way to address it. Okay? So none of these things, when we talk about spirituality, it pertains to Atma, the spirit, not all these other things. I hope you can agree with me on that point. The second thing is, we're saying, again, spirituality, that line must continue, okay? What we're saying is that by knowing such an Atma, such a spirit, and progressively and over time you identify with it instead of the material world, instead of the ego, instead of the body, instead of the mind, and when we realize that we've been focused on the wrong things all along, namely the changing, ever-changing material things, even ever-changing mind of our own, our attitudes, all these things change. So when we realize that we are the spirit, okay, that will bring us lasting happiness, satisfaction, and contentment. So when we say why be spiritual and what is spirituality, these are the concepts that kind of enter my head. Thirdly, spirituality is knowing about the Atma's nature, which we say, the Vedas say, and Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the Atma's nature is eternal, it is consciousness, and it is bliss itself. So if another way of looking at it is, can you say that when there is bliss that you see anywhere, is that the same as Atma? Not really. What you can say is Atma's bliss, okay, produces other bliss. It's not exactly the same thing. This is a little bit hard to conceive, but same thing with consciousness, same thing with eternal nature. There's no beginning, there's no end. You heard just in Mahalakshmi Stotra, Adyanta Rahite Devi, right? So there is no beginning, middle, or end. The spirit was never born, therefore cannot die. So when you talk about spirituality, these are the things that come to your mind, right? Should come to your mind anyway. Also, last point, the more we know about such an Atma, our own Atma, not somebody else's. I don't want to know about her Atma. That's your job, right? I want to know about my own Atma. Then we may find out we're not that far apart. We may be almost the same. So this Atma, okay, the more we know about that self, our own true self, okay, that makes us happier. The reason is it is stable, it's not born, it doesn't die, it's continuous. Okay? And why it makes us happy is because it gives us the proper context. In other words, we are in a certain context right now, based on Maya and how we were born and where we grew up and our experiences and all that gives us some context, worldly context. And those things allow us to do certain things and prevents us from doing other things. Those experiences that we've had. So it kind of boxes us into our own context. But when we realize the higher context of our own true nature, own true Atma, then that will change our context, our understanding, and most importantly, our modus operandi. So these are all the things. What does it mean to be spiritual? These are the thoughts that come into my head. Okay, there may be more things that you people can think of. You can put it in the chat, and we'll talk about them. Okay, all right. So before we got into why be spiritual, I just wanted to say what are the things related to spirit. What does it mean to be spiritual? Let's look at a summary of teachings from the Upanishads. What does it say? Okay, it says again, Upanishads is part of the Vedas, but it's part of the Jnana part. Okay. That is knowledge part of the Vedas. What does it talk about? A very short summary. It talks about Atma, namely one's own true self, and Paramatma. Paramatma is the super self, namely God, both of whom are resident in this body right now. I don't mean the physical body, but I talked about 5 different bodies in one of the streams. You can go back and take a look. So both Paramatma and Atma are here, and the Upanishads talk about their eternal nature, their nature as consciousness, their nature as bliss. Beyond that, they describe the higher powers of Paramatma to create countless universes and so on and so forth. Okay, we're not going to get into all that now, but the Upanishads basically talk about Atma, Paramatma, and its eternal and their eternal nature. Secondly, it talks about how to achieve the consciousness necessary for you to perceive and experience both Atma and Paramatma. So they go into some techniques, some yogic techniques and practices. Thirdly, what the benefit of that is, namely, how knowing your own Atma, you don't even have to know Paramatma, knowing your own true nature, okay, will set us free from fear. Okay, just think about that. Just by that one thing alone is good enough, right? Most of what we operate on is based on fear. Okay, Lord Krishna puts it in very simple terms. That is, we spend a lot of time, okay, a lot of time, a lot of effort, in some cases a lot of money, trying to avoid things that are painful to us, and do what we can to try and go after happiness and pleasure. So we avoid things that are painful, and we're ready to spend anything almost. Right? If a fellow is in a parched desert, very thirsty, do you think they're going to hold back how much they spend and negotiate on what the water should cost? No. So this avoidance of pain and pursuit of pleasure, Sri Krishna says, is a big driver for us in this world of Maya. Okay? So what the Upanishads is teaching us is, once you know your own true nature, you'll be free from fear, including fear of dying or disease or anything else. You'll be free from fear. And you'll be free from anger, you'll be free from attachments and bondage, and ultimately you'll be free from samsara, which is karma and rebirth. Karma and rebirth, that continuous cycle, will be gone, because now you are free from the bondage of attachments. You'll see from a higher perspective. That's what Upanishads is teaching us. All right. So that's a value, for me, that's a value proposition. When you say why be spiritual, that says to me what Upanishads is just teaching is, if there's a way for us to be free, okay, from karma and rebirth, from attachments, from our own very, very, very narrow context within which we live. Now, by the way, Krishna, by the way, our narrow context has gotten a lot narrower due to the pandemic that we have. Why? Our context now is our home. Not even all the fancy things we used to do before. We do the necessary things and then retreat back home. So our narrow context has gotten a lot narrower than before. So this, and guess what? It is from fear that we do that. I'm not saying that all fear is bad, don't get me wrong, okay? Fear exists because there's a reason for it, right? To protect our own selves. Otherwise, we'd be constantly putting our entire hand into a fire, burning it, and doing other crazy things. Fear is important to have in some contexts, but there's also fear that we shouldn't have, that we do have. A lot of, if you recognize this, a lot of the things that we do is what Sri Krishna said. So to me, that's a value proposition. Once we realize that our own true Atman, own true nature, then our context has changed. Therefore, things that cause us fear, cause us attachments, bondage, okay, to all kinds of shining things, new things, that will all be gone. And we won't do anything to create more karma and to create more and more and more rebirths, and we won't be trapped in that cycle. That's value proposition enough for me to say, why be spiritual? Okay? So, but it may not be enough for some. Let me also get into what Bhagavad Gita says, again in very short, almost unfair summary. Okay? It says the same things as Upanishads, broadly speaking, but Krishna also explains other concepts, other things, other teachings. That is, how Atma is bound by karma and deluded by Maya, right? At some point, we'll go through the Bhagavad Gita in more detail, because in all the streams that we've done, I've been jumping around here and there. So at some point, we'll do Bhagavad Gita in more detail, maybe chapter by chapter summaries or something like that. So Krishna talks about how Atma is bound by both karma that we have done in the past and we are continuing to do now, and deluded by Maya, so that we think that everything that we have here is the only thing. Okay? You only live once. YOLO. Krishna's high school, Gayatri's high school, all the kids were running around saying YOLO. You only live once, so have fun. Enjoy. Do whatever you want. You don't want to have any regrets. That kind of thinking, per what the scriptures are telling us and what the gurus are telling us, and there's proof, I'm going to come to that in a minute, is ignorant. Okay? You only live once is the most ignorant statement, and it's called avidya. Shankaracharya used to call it avidya. That means you're not knowledgeable. You're speaking out of ignorance. Okay? So Bhagavad Gita teaches us the vidya part, or the knowledge part, that Atma is bound like this due to karma and deluded by Maya. What else does it teach us? It says how we remain in fear, in lust, in wants and desires, and in the cycle of karma and rebirth. How by realizing God's system of both micro and macro creation and sustenance and dissolution of countless universes, multidimensional universes that are constantly going on all around us, we don't realize it because we can only see this. How the three gunas play into this, how Prakriti and Purusha and the principles of that play into it. We've talked about all this. I don't want to rehash it. I just want to remind you as to what that's saying. How the Yuga time scale is here. It's a cyclical thing. Krishna and I, we were having a talk this afternoon. We had a chat. And if you look at it anthropologically, right? We were apes, and then we became upright, and then our brains grew bigger and we became smarter. So there's no way that Bhagavad Gita or Vedas, which are 5,000 years old or whatever it may be, how can those guys be smarter than us? We know a lot more now than they ever could know. They didn't have the science. They didn't have the medicine. They didn't have the double-blind study scientific methodology. They didn't know anything about building bridges or roads the way we know. And to that I will concede that, with some hesitation, I will concede that they didn't know certain things that we now know. But it's all in the materialistic realm. It isn't about the spirit. Okay? So, take it for what it is, but that's my thinking on this matter. And the Yuga time scale basically says anthropology is fine, okay, but the 4 yugas that we have goes in cyclical times. So it's not like human beings never existed before the ape. They did according to the yuga, namely Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara, and then Kali Yuga. So these things go in cycles all the time. So we are idiots if we think that we have figured out something, for the first time, we are such scientists, we have figured something out. Guess what? This has happened before and it's going to happen again. So that's the Yuga scale. I don't want to go into too much of that here. So then finally, Bhagavad Gita also teaches methods or practices that are needed to have a glimpse at that reality of how things are actually set up. Okay? Such as we've talked before, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti, Raja, and what is Dharma and what is Adharma. So in that, my father in one of the Patreon lectures, I'm just going to call it that now, from the archives, one point I was listening to it and it kind of stuck in my head. That is, he said, Karma Yoga leads to Jnana, to knowledge. Jnana Yoga, on the other hand, leads to Mukti. So in other words, Karma Yoga leads to Mukti. I know Krishna is already doing the algebra here. Right, Krishna? Karma Yoga, no? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so Karma Yoga leads to Jnana, means knowledge. Selfless service leads to knowledge. Knowledge, on the other hand, leads to liberation, Mukti. What about Bhakti Yoga? My father has said, Bhakti Yoga leads to more Bhakti. So it's an interesting thing. There's no end game to that. More love for God. Okay? You do devotion to God, Bhakti Yoga, it leads to even more love for God, not less, and it doesn't have an end point. It's an infinite love. It's an infinite trajectory. I found that interesting. Okay, so that's Bhagavad Gita. That's what Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, they're both telling us loudly, know your Atma, know your permanence. You were never born, you shall never die, and you will never change because you are pure consciousness and you are pure bliss. That's what they're telling us. So then the question becomes, why should we believe these teachings? Okay? We talked about this, I think, some time ago, but I'll put it in a slightly different context. We want proof. Right? Those proofs are known as pramanas in our Sanskrit language, the pramana. So those proofs, we talked about this, is direct experience known as pratyaksha, second is inference known as anumana, and then testimony of people whom you trust, gurus. That's known as shabda. Okay? So the pramanas, okay, we want proof. There's no proof like you having your own direct experience. So many of you in the last stream wrote about the kinds of things that you experienced with Sant Keshavadasji, your guru. That is, he was lighter than air, Janaki said, right? Or he came in somebody's dream, or something miraculous happened with the flowers that Sita was talking about. My point is, when you have direct experiences of extraordinary things, That's a glimpse into the kinds of things that we're talking about, that Upanishads and Bhagavad Gitas and other scriptures talk about. Does it make sense? In other words, once you directly have experience of something extraordinary, some miracle, okay, something spiritual, you have direct experience in the matter. You now know that there's something higher. Just like that NIH, CDC doctor, right? Krishna, is it CDC doctor or NIH doctor who had a near-death experience, or he had died and come back? He was a scientist who was an atheist who died, came back, and wrote a book on how there is God. He's still there at the CDC, I believe, okay? So he made the case for how you can be a scientist but also believe in God. So my point is that he had direct experience known as Pratyaksha. And so once you have that, you don't need additional proof. You have it. And then Anumana is the second kind of proof, that is inference. Inference means that you can reason it out. You can reason it out. You can see something and say, if this is true and that is true and this is true, then this other thing must be true. There's no way around it. Okay, you can reason that out. For example, Upanishads teaches us that when you shut down and go to sleep, are you your body? When you're sleeping, you don't know that. Are you your mind? Well, mind is kind of shut down. Okay, so you go on doing this thing. I don't want to go through the entire thread here, but are you your body? If so, right, then what happens when your body is shut down, but your mind and consciousness is active? Well, what if your mind is shut down? Then what happens? Are you the ego? Well, when you're deep asleep, you don't even know whether you have an ego or not. All the five senses are shut down, more or less. So you start doing this line of questioning, okay, and you infer that, no, I'm not any of those, there is something else. And what the scriptures then end up saying is, that something else is known as Atma, okay, the unchanging witness principle that observes all the other things. You need an observer to take in all this and understand it. That observer, you will come to find, is Atma. That's an example of inference. And then Shabda is testimony. These are the gurus who have reached a much higher context, and they tell you, here's what I've seen. I want you to follow me so that you can see the same thing, so that I can show you. Once you see that, all your fear, all your anxieties, all your suffering, and all your attachments will melt away, because you will have a different, much higher context, how reality really is. Okay? Now, if you don't believe the fellow or person or woman or whatever, whoever that guru is, then their testimony is useless. Their Shabda is useless. But when you do find somebody, a person like that, who you feel that they have seen something different, they have touched a different reality, once you find that person, then you will accept their testimony as proof. Okay? Why? Because they have been there and they're telling you all about it and how to get there. Okay? More importantly. So why should you believe these teachings? Because there are proofs. These are the proofs, methods of proofs, right? Pratyaksha, direct experience, inference, and then finally testimony. Even after these, if you don't believe it, I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question. I'm going to ask you a question back. What exactly do you believe and follow? Right? It's easy to say, I don't believe this, and I don't believe that, and I don't believe this, I don't believe that. Right? This whole notion of news now, we cannot tell what's fake news, what isn't fake news. Because by definition, we are not there. It's somebody else telling us what just happened, and they're putting their spin. So my point is that even if you, after all these, direct experience or inference or a guru telling you here's what things are like, you don't believe all that, what exactly do you believe? What do you follow? Do you have anything? You have to ask yourself that question. And if you say, I don't follow anything, okay, then the question becomes, what is your life like? What is the purpose? Where's the focus? Will you achieve anything? Will you have regrets? So you have to start asking those questions, because you are basically doing this without a core set of principles. If you're saying that I'm not believing anything. I'm not saying you should believe in only these, okay, only these types of teachings. I'm making the point that understand what it is that you are following, okay? Understand what teachings or what principles you're following. And so in the Upanishads or in Bhagavad Gita, they're not asking you to blindly follow these things. They're asking you, try to get the direct experience, try to reason it out so that you have inference, and try to go to a guru or somebody who has actually seen it. We do this all the time, come on, right? We constantly go to people and say, how do I do this? Right? I have a plumbing problem. How do I do this? And then I find a bunch of articles and I have to see. Are you suffering today from okay. She's the one who does yoga in our family, by the way. Okay, so in any event, so you have to understand what exactly you're following. You say, oh yeah, okay, this is all fine, but I have my own thing. What is that own thing, right? That's better than direct experience. What are the core set of beliefs? What are your values? What's your purpose? So Vedas, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita is universal because they are not tied to Hinduism. They're tied to the universal principles of Atma and Paramatma, and karma, rebirth, maya, that sort of thing. Okay? And then finally, again, why should we believe in these teachings? Let's actually look at it, okay? Let's reason it out. We know karma is provable, right? Because it's cause and effect, more generally speaking. Karma is just a fancy Sanskrit word to say cause and effect. You sow this, you will reap that, sooner or later, right? That's very provable, right? It's common sense. You do this, here are some consequences, sooner or later. Okay? Now if you extend that, we can also say that rebirth is provable. How so? How so is because, as I said before, this book here, this Karma and Rebirth book, has a lot of examples of children who are being very specific about their past life. They're remembering their past life and being very specific about their kid's name from the past life. Okay? Where they were born, what was their town, and if they have any money, if they have any brother-in-law, sister-in-law, all these things they remember. And even from a young age, they remember that, and many of them force their parents to take them to their town, where they were in the past life. So those are a lot of examples. Many examples are within this book for one thing. Okay. Also, I mentioned University of Virginia. Go to their website and search it out. They have an entire department based on rebirth experiences that kids have. Also, we know that many very young people play instruments or do other things in a masterful way where nobody's really taught them anything, right? We know that many very young kids know Sanskrit almost intuitively without anybody teaching them in school or any other place. So we have plenty of proof for rebirth. Why don't we all remember? It's because we do, but by the time we are of a certain age, we forget most of the things because Maya sets in and parents continuously ask us, what is your name? And we have to tell them the given name. Okay, who am I? Oh, I am daddy. Oh, who is that? It's your mommy. So it's this repetition of this slowly and over time, we forget our past life. So we know we have karma that's provable, rebirth that's provable. Well, if rebirth is provable, doesn't it also mean that the Atma changes bodies? That the Atma is going from here to here to here? Otherwise, how could you remember your past life? Does it make sense? So you can reason this out. So when we say, why should we believe it? We're not asking anybody to believe anything. What it's saying is, consider these things, okay? Give some thought, contemplation, reflection, and then you will come to your own conclusion on what these things are saying. Does that make any sense? It's just like any financial advice. Somebody says, oh, you have to have a balanced portfolio, stocks, bonds, this, that, and everything. Initially, when you're a young fellow, you're like, I don't know anything about bonds. I don't know anything about stocks, so I'm not going to do anything. Keep it in the bank and spend it. You know nothing about investments. Until much later, you find that, you start reflecting on it. Where can I make a little more because the bank is giving me less than 0.5%? You start reflecting because you now have a problem. And when you start reflecting, you'll start to look for options. What are my options? Where can I put the money? In the same way, before you have problems, okay, before you have any major life problems, you should start reflecting on these types of things, because, loudly and clearly, these scriptures and the gurus who have seen these tell you to reflect on it much earlier, okay? All right, there's one final point I'll make, okay, again in terms of inference. Don't you need an unchanging entity inside you to perceive what is changing? For example, I'll say that, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. And I'm not talking about just the body, right? Yes, physically I'm different from 10 years ago, obviously. But when I say that, okay, to perceive that change, okay, for me to say, I'm not the same person I used to be 10 years ago, something should be unchanging to see that I haven't changed, right? Something that is stable and unchanging, right? If everything is changing, how would you perceive change? So one of the arguments of Upanishads is that unchanging principle of Atma is sitting inside, observing the change that's happening all over the place. Our body aging, okay, our attitudes changing, our experiences changing, right? Our thinking and thoughts changing. Over time, all kinds of things change. But to observe that change, there needs to be an unchanging entity. That entity is known as Atma. So nobody is asking anyone to believe or take up these teachings necessarily on faith. Reason it out. You'll find that either you have direct experience that prompts you to go and look at all these things more carefully, or you have inference like the one we just went through, or you hear testimony from gurus who have already touched a different height, who can tell us. Okay? So those are the points, and I guess I'll end with these last few concepts. That is, again, why can't we just be left alone to live our lives? Why should we do all these spiritual practices and other things? That seems to me, in India anyway, they say that's for old people. Not for youngsters. Youngsters have a lot to get done. Education and vocation, right? Making of money. So the financial or money accumulation phase and all that. So all this spiritual stuff is for the old guys, okay, where they've gone through all these the entire life, and now you're about to die or coming close to it. Now you start reflecting on what is my true nature, and what I'm here to say is that's total nonsense. Okay, that attitude is totally bogus, because the same youngsters will be broken with every little thing. If you look at the spectrum of things, right? You can be broken for every little thing. Oh, I got passed over for promotion. I should have gotten promoted. I didn't get promoted. So now you are emotional and you are a mess. Or I wanted to marry this person, but that person already got married to somebody else. Now you are a mess. Or a loved one dies or leaves you. Okay? You are a mess. I'm talking about this extreme side of the spectrum. And on this side of the spectrum, you have Sthita Prajna, okay, that Bhagavad Gita talks about. Sthita Prajna means no matter what happens, that person is not fazed because they're not really reacting to anything that's happening in the world of Maya, in the world of duality, and they're beyond the Trigunas. So they're not at all fazed. They're highly spiritually realized masters. They're not fazed by anything. People dying around them, something happening to them themselves, right? Or any things of the world, they're not emotionally attached to any of it. That is Sthita Prajna, okay? On this side, we have the opposite. People who are totally broken for every little thing, okay? They don't have an anchor. These guys are highly anchored. These people have no anchor. When the winds are buffeting their emotions here and there and there and here, there is no direction. There's no anchor. It becomes a mess. Most of us, fortunately, don't live here. We live somewhere on this side of the spectrum. Okay? The idea of spirituality is to go slowly over to this side. Over time, okay? Over time, not immediately. So not be on this side because life is miserable. You have very high highs and very low lows. Most of us are not there, but we are somewhere here, right? Somewhere in, between that and some halfway point or something. And slowly and over time, we have to slowly move, okay? As we try to understand what reality is like, known as Sat. Okay? So that anchor is necessary. That's why we should be bothered with this. Secondly, if we don't understand that we are going after impermanent things for sustained happiness, that equation doesn't match. You're looking for permanent happiness, sustained contentment, sustained satisfaction from ever-changing and impermanent things. That's why Tulsidas, who was very attached to his wife, he had a very beautiful wife apparently, and he was very attached to her, and he couldn't spend a single minute without her. So he goes through a very strong storm and crosses a river holding a snake, thinking it's a rope or something like that. I don't remember the whole story. But anyway, he goes through some extreme danger to get to the other side of the river where she was visiting her parents, and climbs through the window in the dark and says, "Here I am, honey, I missed you." And she says that was the wrong thing to do. If you had 1/10 or a fraction of the love you have for me, if that fraction was applied to God, Sri Rama, you would be a liberated saint. And that was her. That wife was his guru. He takes it into his heart and he says, "True. What am I doing? I'm trying to find permanent happiness from this wife of mine." Okay, nobody is permanent. So he starts to just go into this self-inquiry and very quickly realizes the truth and realizes that sustained happiness, satisfaction cannot be had from attaching ourselves to impermanent things. That's doomed to fail. So then he becomes, through that realization, he becomes Sant Tulsidas and a great saint of Sri Rama. And the last point I would make is, again, why can't we live about and go about our lives? It's because people who have achieved a different height tell us how to achieve true joy. They look at us as being in our context and being relatively okay. Okay? Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are not. We are relatively happy or relatively sad, but in a very small, faint context. When they experience true joy, true bliss, they want to share it. And when they do, we have to be able to listen to it. Many of us don't, and we go on about our life. We don't want to be bothered with any of this nonsense. I only believe what I can see. Seeing is believing. Right? So I would say, okay, that's fine if that's how you think, but the thinking is flawed because there are lots of things that we cannot see with our fleshy eyes, but we know that they're there, such as oxygen that we breathe. We don't see it all the time, do we? And we also now know that there's coronavirus that we can't also see from our naked eyes. My point is that it's, if we take the view that we can only believe in stuff that we see and we cannot use inference and we cannot use testimony, that is very flawed in our logic. Okay? So I will end with that, but I do want to tell you one story. That is, spiritual people. I just heard this and I was reminded of that thing. We uploaded a Patreon satsangs on SK archives on Patreon, Krishna.
You want to talk about Patreon?
No, not yet. I want to tell the story first. Okay. So on Patreon, we're uploading these archives that were converted from real to real by Janardana. So I was listening to bits and pieces of that latest one as I was trying to make sure the sound quality is pretty good. And there's a wonderful story of how, well, I won't tell you, you can come to your own conclusion. It's a story of how there was a Buddhist master, okay? And he used to be very logical, okay, and very forceful in his logic and reasoning. So that Buddhist became famous, that master became very famous, and a lot of people used to come to him to ask questions or to just be in his presence, or sometimes people used to come to argue with him, okay, on Buddhist principles. So here comes another guy, and the Buddhist master had been seeing a lot of people that morning, and he was getting hungry. So he told his brother, who was a total idiot, right? He was the total idiot. In other words, he didn't know anything about Buddhism or anything, really. He was an uneducated, idiotic fellow. So he said to him, okay, here comes another guy. He looks like another Buddhist master. Please make him sit here. And whatever you do, after you welcome him, make him sit there. Whatever you do, don't open your mouth. Okay? Stay in mauna. Stay in total silence. Don't say a thing. Okay? Otherwise, he'll figure out you're an idiot. I'm going to get lunch. I'll eat lunch and I'll come back and see what the fellow wants. So Buddhist master 2, he comes and he is welcomed by the younger brother, the idiot, and they're sitting across from each other and staring at each other, because sitting in mauna or total silence across from somebody is not easy. You feel like you want to say something and then you remember, oh, I'm supposed to be silent. So the idiot brother wanted to say things, but he didn't. He was like, okay, my brother has said don't say anything, I'm just going to sit here. And the other visiting master, he was sitting across from him, he understood that we must be practicing mauna, okay? We're not supposed to say anything. So after some time, he couldn't wait, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever. So they were just staring at each other with nothing to say. That became a little bit uncomfortable. So the Buddhist master who was visiting, he said, right, just gesture only. He showed him only one finger. seeing that, the idiot brother got upset. He's like, two, right? You're showing me one finger? All right, okay. Two. They're not saying anything. I'm just telling you, right? And so the Buddhist master, the visiting master, was seeing this, and he's like, three. Three. And so this guy got upset, the idiot got upset, and he started sweating and getting very emotional and upset. He bit his lips and he said, with his fist, right? And so the Buddhist visiting master, he saw that and he said his pranams to him and he started to leave. And the other guy, the real master, the older brother, he was coming from his lunch and he saw this other master running away. And he said, wait, please tell me what happened. Don't you want to talk to me? He said, no, sir, with all due respect, your brother taught me everything I need to know. I now see. And he said, what do you see? What do you see? Tell me what happened. So he says, no, we were sitting silently together, right, across from each other. And in the silence, I found a lot of joy. And then from that joy, I wanted to share something. That is Buddha's great philosophy of one. That is Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Right? Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. The one finger. And your brother understood my philosophy of Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. So he immediately said, two. And I understood that. He says, it's not just Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, it's also Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami. Don't forget that. There's that too. So to which I added the third one, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. And so, I was remembering all three thanks to your brother. And finally, when I showed three, he showed me like this. So then I looked at that and I said, wow, he is right. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. They all have to be brought together and unified and understood in its unity. So when he said like this, I finally understood that all three of these philosophies must be integrated. So I don't need to know anything. My third eye is open. Your brother is such a great human being, such a great guru. If he should be so great, you should be even greater than him. So how can I ever thank you and repay you? You are both masters, so he fell at his feet. So that master number one was confused. What? My brother taught all this? I thought he was a complete idiot. So he comes there and he asks his brother, idiot brother, what happened? And so he was still holding his fist. Where is he? I want to give him one across his face. Where is he? I said, hold on, sit down. What happened? Tell me. He said, no, I was just minding my own business like you said. I was totally silent. I didn't say anything. And this guy totally shows me like this. I'm very sensitive because I was born with one eye only. This other eye was blind. So he's insulting me already, saying that you only have one eye. So to that I tried to suppress my emotions and I said, okay, at least you have two eyes. I have one. At least you have two. And so immediately the guy comes back and insults me again, saying that my two eyes and your one makes it three. So he just can't let it go. The guy is just so insulting me. So I want to give him one across the face with this, right, with my fist. And then before I knew it, he ran away. So where is that fellow? So that's the story. Well, why am I saying this story? Because I found it entertaining. But the moral of the story is, we always look at the world in our little view. Okay? So if you are the master that we just talked about, you will look at everything in a positive light and try to learn. If you are the other idiot, you will always remain that idiot and look at everything in terms of aggressive posture. So I will end here with this, and we'll maybe do one bhajan real quick. We have a bhajan of Prasanna Vittala. So if you could go to your description and look at that bhajan, we will all sing it together. Huh? Okay. Prasanna Vittala, Pandhari Vittala, Prasanna Vittala, Purana Vittala, Purandara Vittala, Prasanna Vittala, Pandhari Vittala, Purana Vittala, Purandara Vittala, Rama Vittala, 1 minute, Vijaya Vittala, Vishnu Vittala, Vijaya Vittala, Vishnu Vittala, Vijaya Vittala, Veera Vittala, Vishakha Pura Vittala, Prasanna Vittala, Pandhari Vittala, Purana Vittala, Purandara Vittala, Gopala Vittala, Govinda Vittala, Gopala Vittala, Govinda Vittala, Gopala Bala Pala Hari Leela Vittala, Prasanna Vittala, Pandhari Vittala, Purana Vittala, Purandara Vittala, Deva Vittala, Deva, Deva Vittala, Bhava Bhakti Gana Lakshmi Lola Vittala, Bhava Bhakti Gana Lakshmi, Prasanna Vittala, Pandhari Vittala, Purana Vittala, Purandara Vittala, राम विठ्ठला हरी श्याम विठ्ठला तामरस दळ नेत्र स्वामी विठ्ठला तामरस प्रसन्न विठ्ठला पंढरी विठ्ठला पुराण विठ्ठला पुरंदर विठ्ठला श्रीश विठ्ठला कमलेश विठ्ठला श्रीश विठ्ठला कमलेश विठ्ठला व्यास विठ्ठला हरिदास विठ्ठला प्रसन्न विठ्ठला पंढरी विठ्ठला पुराण विठ्ठला पुरंदर विठ्ठला अच्युत विठ्ठला केशव विठ्ठला अच्युत विठ्ठला केशव विठ्ठला सगम मग प मग धप पधनी धनि सा ग ग सरे सगम मग रे सा सग मा पाप मा प ग म प अच्युत विठ्ठला केशव विठ्ठला अच्युत विठ्ठला दास केशवेश जगदीशा विठ्ठला दास केशवेश प्रसन्न विठ्ठला पंढरी विठ्ठला पुराण विठ्ठला पुरंदर विठ्ठला पुरंदर विठ्ठला प्रसन्न विठ्ठला पुरंदर विठ्ठला 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 So Krishna, now we have any people on? Can we look at the comments? Okay, so we have Geeta saying Namaste everyone. Thank you Geeta for attending, appreciate it. Karuna is here. Thank you, Karuna. Namaste. Vidya Lakshmi Shana is here. Namaste. Thank you for attending. Lorena is on. Namaste to all. Thank you. Very grateful for blessings and for being here tonight. Thank you for waking up so early or not even sleeping, really, for coming and visiting us. We appreciate that. And then Giri is here all the way from India. Thank you, Giri, for waking up so early and being with us. Giri, my cousin, huh?
Every time.
Every time. We appreciate that. And then Jahnavi is here. Namaste to all. She's saying Namaste all. Jahnavi is here. And Narayani is here. Narayani. saying thank you for honoring Lakshmi with a very important Ashtakam. Yes, thank you. We appreciate that. Recommended 3 times daily for full prosperity. Oh, okay. So there you go. Remember I said Shabda, that is a testimony. Here's a testimony, right? She's done this, she knows. And so Jahnavi says, love you, mother, you are the best, Jahnavi.
Oh, thank you.
And then, what is this, Krishna? Thanks for the correction.
We had in our title that it was July 25th, so I corrected it to August 1st.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. So she's saying Namaste to all. 1 minute. Yeah. And then, let's see. She's saying Namaste and thankful for this program. Thank you, Jayvanti. Appreciate it. And then Sita is here. Sita says, Namaste everyone. Beautiful Lakshmi Bhajan. Love and explanations. Many thanks to the whole family for continuing to bless us with these satsangs. Thank you, Sita. We really appreciate it. And then Dinesh Babaji is here. Namaste to all. And then he says, Mahalakshmi, Mahashakti Mahodare means great womb of Mahashakti. True. So all these things we can explain, but it takes a lot of time to break down each one of them. So then we have Lorena saying, it is a blessing, not a bothering. We all, no matter how much we might have, still feel empty. We have this longing inside of something deeper and higher. I agree with you. That means you are a true seeker. That's what it means. Because you already figured out the pattern of that's what it is, right? And so Dinesh says we have 3 fundamental urges: to exist, to know, and to be happy. When urges are not satisfied, our peace is disturbed and we look for spirituality. Yeah, that is true also. Again, we have urges, and then we have Sri Krishna saying about pleasure and pain, how we pursue one and try to avoid the other one. Then we have Lorena is still saying, fear through conditioning may be the one to avoid. Yes, I agree with that. I think that this situation we are living while reducing our movement pushed us to focus more in more real things. That's a very good point. I would totally agree with that. Living more within than without. Totally agreed, Lorena. That's an excellent point. That's happened to, I think, all of us, but definitely in our family, that's true. And then Mridula Singh is here. Mridula, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Thanks, Shyamji, for explaining spirituality in simple terms. If only we could remember some of it in our daily lives, we will be so much content and happy. That's true. That's the thing. You don't have to remember everything. Just follow 1 or 2 teachings, and that's good enough. That's why Krishna says, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. You will conquer the great danger and fear if you practice a little bit. So Narayani says, heard good answer inadvertently from a young online Jyotishi just yesterday. Babajit Khalita reminds us of one main thing that distinguishes us from animals, our ability, desire to search for God. It's true. There are many other things that distinguish us from animals, but this is definitely one of them, right? So I agree with that. Then Sangeeta Rao is here saying, Namaste, Sangeeta. Thank you for joining us. All of you, we really do appreciate everybody joining us. And then Namaste from Nani and Keshava. So Channa Keshava and Nani are here. They're watching us right now. Nani, thank you. Both of you, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Now, why? Our Nani, right, that we grew up with. And then Lorena is saying, Atma, the eternal witness, and the unchangeable fortitude that keep us anchored. True. And Shekhar is here. Beautiful session, Sham. Nice story at the end. So rich with meaning. Shekhar, thank you. I knew you would enjoy it if you were here, Shekhar. So thanks for joining us. Then Marlene Soul is here. Namaste to all from Malini in Kansas City. Malini in Kansas City. Malini, Kansas City. So thanks for joining us, Malini. And Venus Radha is here this time. Namaste from Hanoi. Thank you for joining us, Venus. We appreciate it. This is very timely for me because we are facing another potential lockdown. No work, no money, lockdowns are difficult. And then I bought a huge plant to be the representation of Gayatri in my room. All right, nice. So I think Lorena is right. This lockdown, we can use it as an opportunity to look within rather than without. Although, you can, at least you have some time to think about the context of everything, right? Whereas before, maybe we were driven a little too hard and couldn't get around to reflecting on anything. This time we can use for studying a little bit, known as Swadhyaya, and listening to some good satsangs from gurus, and doing some bhajans or some practices ourselves. Those things are all very helpful. So at this point, I'll end here because of the time. Time is almost 11:40. That's a good point. So today I got a comment from our friend and buddy Vittu in India. Okay, and he wrote a comment. I don't want to go through it here, but the comment has to do with, you should go to the Guru Purnima one, where he talks about how when he was a child, how he used to call my father Anna, like many Kannada speaking people do. And so he writes this thing, so I'm just going to point you to that. He has some kind of a channel name. Vittu. He has a channel name. It is KNMK259. So if you have time, everybody go see it. He is trying to, what I asked for last weekend about people telling about their experiences with Sant Keshavadasji. He's answering to that to a different video, Guru Purnima video. So go to that and see what he's saying if you're interested. Okay. So we'll end here with Jyoti Bedagali, our Arati, and we pray that Maha Lakshmi, God and Guru, shower their blessings upon all of us. Okay? Namaste.
You want to talk about pictures?
Oh yeah, Krishna, thank you. Krishna is always reminding me. By the way, I want to show people something. Can you get a close-up shot, Krishna?
Yeah.
So this is on my app. This is a Patreon app. Can you see it?
It's very small.
Can you bring it in a little bit, Krishna? Here. You have to move that camera anyway. I wanted to show people very proudly. I'm very proud about this point, and proud about all of you who are participating, actually. That is, we have 16 patrons right now. As we, I don't know whether I can get to all that. We'll see. I don't know how to use this app, so I can't. I wanted to call out all the names of the patrons, but I just can't. I don't know how to do it here. Maybe next time I'll prepare. But see, if you look here.
Hold on, it's not. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll see the number 16 there. That means we have 16 patrons. Okay. And 15 of the 16 patrons are $20 donors on a monthly basis. So that comes to what, $300 or something like that? 20 times 15. Yeah, $300. And then we have a $10 patron. So that brings us to $310 per month. And so you can do the math over 12 months, what kind of money we can raise to convert those books into ebooks. Okay? Krishna and I have been talking about it. We will get back to this group within about the next 3 to 4 weeks on what our strategy is to convert. Okay? So thank you very much. This is a great seva to, that everybody is doing. Remember, I am the first donor of this, my wife really, technically speaking, because I can't donate to my own account. But from our family, we are the first donors. The idea here is to try and do something where it will outlast us, and it's a real seva. Okay? So if you haven't already done so, those who are new, those who are still on the fence, try to donate, and we'll try to get those books out fairly rapidly. We're in the middle of looking at it. But as of now, in our bank, we have $330 and change from the donations. Okay? But you can imagine in 12 months or so, we'll have a good enough sum to convert several books. Okay? Thank you. We'll now do the Arati. Can I do Arati now, Krishna, or any more announcements?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So Krishna will put up where to go to donate to Patreon. Patreon.com and then /SK Archives. And what you get in return is these wonderful archived live satsang lectures from my father, Sant Keshavadasji, as well as your name as sponsors of those e-books within the books themselves. Okay, so now let's do the Arati. एक मिनट राबा प्रसाद आया करी ओम प्राणाय स्वाहा अपानाय स्वाहा उदानाय स्वाहा समानाय स्वाहा ज्ञानाय स्वाहा ब्रह्मणे स्वाहा ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्मवीर ब्रह्माग्नो ब्रह्मणाहुतं ब्रह्मैव तेनन्तव्यं ब्रह्मकर्म समाधिना हरि ओम तत्सदोम शांति शांति शांतिः ब्रह्मार्पणमस्तु कृष्णार्पणमस्तु ज्योति बेळगली ಪರಂಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬೆಳಗಲಿ ಮನೆ ಮನೆಯೊಳು ಮನ ಮನದೊಳು ಮನೆ ಮನೆಯೊಳು ಮನ ಮನದೊಳು ಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬೆಳಗಲಿ ಪರಂಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಹೃದಯ ಕಟ್ಟೆ ಮನದ ಭಕ್ತಿ ಪದುಮನಾಭನ ಪ್ರೇಮ ತೈಲ ಹೃದಯದಿ ಮುದದಿ ಎರೆದು ದೇಹ ಮರೆದು ಹೃದಯದೊಳಗು ಜ್ಞಾನ ಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬೆಳಗಲಿ ಪರಂಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬೆಳಗಲಿ. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾಂಜಾ. ಆಶೆ ಸ್ವಾರ್ಥ ಸುಟ್ಟು ಕರುಣೆ ಕೇಶವ ಪದ ಸೇವೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ದಾಸ ಕೇಶವನು ತನು ಸತತ ದಾಸ ಕೇಶವನು ತನು ಸತತ ಭಾಷೆಯಿತ್ತು ಪೊರೆವ ದಾಸ ಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬೆಳಗಲಿ ಪರಂಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬೆಳಗಲಿ ಮನೆ ಮನೆಯೊಳು ಮನ ಮನದೊಳು ಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬೆಳಗಲಿ ಪರಂಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬೆಳಗಲಿ. So wave the light, wave your hands and receive the light. Touch your eyes and your head with the blessings of the Arati. त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावात् करोमि अद्य सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityorma amritam gamaya Om Shanti 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 Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu पंढरीनाथ महाराज की जय, सद्गुरु महाराज की जय, महालक्ष्मी माता की जय, नारायण भगवान की जय. Yeah, so we will also stream next weekend, and we will announce that. Stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you can get the reminder. That will usually typically send out a reminder on Thursdays, if I'm not mistaken, right, Krishna? Thursday evening or maybe sometime Friday, so that you can be reminded. It's going to be the same place, same time, same everything. We'll do another satsang on that day. Namaste, stay safe and take care. Okay.